Cool. Linda Martin is in on the queue. Excellent. Should have a couple more people calling in. Somebody from the West Coast will be calling in, and somebody from Atlanta. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a full house today.
Hmm.
Are you ready for this? Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Wednesday, April the 30th, 2014, and welcome to the BCS Experience History, Arts, Culture, and Politics in Review and Discussion. I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most. The BCS Experience takes a look at our rich history, African American history. We're going to share with you some known and unknown historical facts and information from the past and connect the dots on how they have impacted on our present day events and how they will definitely shape our future as African Americans in this country and around the world. The BCS Experience History, Arts, Culture, Politics in Review and Discussion. This is Internet Radio and will be aired live every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. from the studios of the BW Moving Images on the GoPro Radio Network. I'm really excited about this opportunity to talk to you all across the country and around the globe. I want you to tune in every week on your computer or your telephone. I want you to become a loyal listener, and I personally invite you to lend your voice to this radio talk show to express your opinions on my weekly topics. Now, this is social network radio at its finest. Now, here's the number for you to call in to be a part of the discussion. It's 347 884 9839. Once again, that number to call is 347 884 9839. This week's topic: how to succeed in business and maintain your integrity without selling out for 30 pieces of silver. Oh my, oh my, oh my. But my show is the new Underground Railroad Express. Next stop is your neighborhood. All aboard to freedom and freedom land. Now, before we get to meet my featured call-in guest, a little bit of history to frame this week's topic. Black History Moments. The date, it's Monday. It's December the 23rd, 1867. Madam C.J. Walker was born on this date in 1867. She was an African-American businesswoman and philanthropist, generally acknowledged as one of the first black female millionaire in the United States. She was born near Delta, Louisiana, married at the age of 14 to a Mr. McWilliams. Sarah Breedlove, as she was known, was a widow by the age of 20, with a daughter, Alelia, to support. They moved to St. Louis, where she worked as a washerwoman until 1905, when she developed a method for straightening curly hair. She organized agents to sell her hair treatment door to door, and in 1910 transferred her business by then called the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company to Indianapolis, Indiana. At its peak, her company employed over 8,000 people, many of them Walker agents, saleswomen, dressed in long black skirts and white blouses, who became familiar figures in the black communities of the United States and the Caribbean. She was married in 1906 to Charles J. Walker, a newspaperman. Walker also established Walker Schools of Beauty, Culture all across the country and initiated hygienic regulations for her staff that anticipated later state cosmetology laws. Wow. Her fortune was augmented by shrewd real estate investments. Generous with her money, she included in her extensive philanthropies, educational scholarships, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as NAACP, Homes for the Aged, and the National Conference on Lynching. She left her estate to various charitable and educational institutions and to her daughter, Alelia Walker Kennedy, who was later known for supporting an intellectual salon known as the Dark Tower that helped to stimulate the cultural Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s. Madam C.J. Walker died May 25th, 1919 in Irvington, New York. My. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's listen to more about Madam C.J. Walker. Wow. Okay, we're having a little bit of difficulty there, but we tried to give you a little bit of extra information about Madam C.J. Walker from the African American Registry. Thomas Ridley, as a docent at the Madam C.J. Walker Museum. Hopefully we can get to play that because it's so interesting. Anyway, I'm joined by my guest co-host today, Stephen Pollock. Welcome, Stephen, back
Yes,
to
sir.
the BCS Experience. Once again, you are part of the experience. I'm loving it.
all
I'm
right.
loving it. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, if we can't get to that video at the moment, we'll just proceed right along. You know how we do this. Anyway, we are excited. Got a great guest today.
Yeah.
See, I want to hear from you all now. Let's connect the dots and make sense out of it all. Let's talk. Call me, 347-884-9839. Tonight, I have a very special guest that will be joining us. Joining me in the studio as my featured call-in guest this evening is none other than Kay Eatmon, a very talented screenwriter, producer, entrepreneur, mentored by the late Alex Haley. Kay is currently working on a script about the life of Madam C.J. Walker. All right, let's welcome Kay. Kay, are you on the line? Good evening. Welcome to the BCS Experience. Hello, Kay? There you are. Bring her in. That's right, 419. That's her. There you go. Kay, are you there? Ah, good evening. Welcome to the BCS Experience. And how are you this evening? Well, good, good. I'm having a little difficulty on my end, engineers, hearing Kay. I know she's on. I can hear her from your booth. Can we get her back on into my booth, in my ears? Hello? Okay. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Kay, are you still there? Okay. They can hear you in the booth, but I can't hear you in my booth. All right. My engineers are working on that. In any event, I'm going to give a little bit of information about you, Kay, while they technically get that coordinated for me. Kay Eatmon, mentored by the late Alex Haley. Kay Eatmon has been involved in several productions as both producer and co-writer. Kay regarded Haley as a father figure, and together they worked on projects hoping to pour more stories into the movie industry, but many were put on hold after Haley died. Today, Kay continues to work on many of those unfinished projects, hoping to bring life to many of the stories she and Haley talked about telling. A native of Mansfield, Ohio, Kay didn't let the small town hold her back. For countless years, she traveled to and from Los Angeles and New York City, pounding the pavement, searching for a break. Circumstances were not always in her favor for many years when television and film didn't really grant her the opportunity to work. She worked as a construction laborer to make ends meet. Oh my goodness. Now, after successfully selling some projects for the big screen, Kay continues to work the market with more unique scripts, hoping to touch audiences all over the world. It is through her strong, courageous spirit that will help lead any production team toward great success. So let's see now. Kay, can you hear me still?
Yes, I can.
Ah, there you are. I can actually hear you in my ears. Welcome to the BCS Experience, Kay.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Indeed, indeed. Kay, you have your story, not just your film work. Well, we'll get to your other project that you're working on. But when I read your bio and read that you were mentored by the Alex Haley, very famous, obviously, for his work that gave us the autobiography of Malcolm X and also Roots on TV. But tell us about your meeting Alex. How did that happen? Give us the early moments of that career happening for you.
Well, Alex and my they met back in the days when he was working for the railroads. And he used to let Alex Haley on the train to go back and forth to New York.
Yes.
And so they become friends, and that's how I got to meet Alex by my grandfather.
Wow. And
we could to have a good relationship and kept in touch with each other.
now, what year was that? Do you remember?
Wow. When I first met Alex, it was like in the 80s.
In the 80s. So your relationship with Alex grew, and
Yes.
he mentored you. What did you learn from Alex?
I learned more about the business and what he was doing, and then he tried to get me involved, and I really liked the idea, but he just didn't hand it to me. He made me work for it.
Oh yeah. All right. And did you work on any of the projects that he was involved with in Roots and in Malcolm X?
No, I did not work on them.
Okay. And
Yeah, my first assignment was to work with the Madam C.J. Walker project with him.
with him, and that was what he was working on before he passed away, as I understand.
Right.
And so your interest in the Madam C.J. Walker project got you started, obviously, in the research and development of that. But along the way, you had some other projects that really kind of fashioned your enthusiasm in the industry. Tell us about that development, which I understand became Honey Kay Productions.
How did I get Honey Cake Productions?
Yes, how did that start? Tell us about that.
Well, after Alex had died, it left me like by myself, and I had to start all back over.
Yes.
So my twin brother, he had died at that time, and he started calling me Honey. So I made my company Honey Cake Production,
All right.
and so I could continue on doing the writing and the research for the Bound C.J. Walker. So a partner of mine, we started writing together, and we got that finished, and I've been shopping it.
Okay. Now, who was your partner with Honey Cay Productions?
Honey Rochelle.
Okay. And I understand you had a project which went into the can and was shot in Atlanta, Georgia, was it?
Yes, that was a Kissing Bandit.
The Kissing Bandit. See, it's interesting. That when I read your bio and I saw this information. Now, this was a little bit after my stint in Atlanta. I spent 7 years on the Georgia Film Commission, Kay. And so, helping to develop the industry in Georgia, which is now booming again, because back in those days, we had helped to establish and sustain local site shooting in Georgia as a state, and of course creating it and developing tax benefits and reliefs to filmmakers like yourself. So when I saw that you had shot your work in Georgia and featured many of Atlanta's scenes, here you had your feet got wet in the film industry. How did your project, Kissing Bandit, go over? Was it a success in your opinion?
No, it wasn't, because Bill Duke at the time, he the one told me I should do my first film.
Yes.
And it was like a $200,000 film. So I got the Brothers Hornets out of Atlanta, which directed, and they promised me a distribution deal with that contract.
Yes.
So after we got finished filming, they didn't do anything else. So it left me like, here I am, out on the limb again. So that project is finished, it's in the can, it's ready to go. And I tried to shop it, and I couldn't do anything because I don't know anybody.
Well, listen, we're going to take a break, and when we're going to come back, we're going to continue this because I got some folks on the line who are going to bring them in, and I want to hear more about your journey because, as you know, this evening's topic is how to succeed in business and maintain your integrity without selling out for 30 pieces of silver. Wow, you got a story, Kay, and we're going to feature more and more about what you have been doing since that time. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on GoPro Radio Network shows are solely those of the speakers and are not necessarily the views or opinions of GoPro Radio Networks, Inc. or its affiliates. These broadcasts are provided on the understanding that they do not constitute professional advice or services. Individuals who speak in these broadcasts express their own opinions, experiences, and conclusions. GoPro Radio Networks and its affiliates do not necessarily endorse or oppose any particular opinion or conclusion discussed in these broadcasts. You may not edit, modify, or redistribute these broadcasts in any way without the express permission of GoPro Radio Networks, Inc. GoPro Radio Networks assumes no liability for any of your activities in connection with these broadcasts or for your use of these broadcasts in connection with your website, computer, or playing device.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're back on the BCS Experience. I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most, with my co-host for this afternoon's show, Mr. Stephen Pollock. Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Wow, amazing. Kay Eatmon has an incredible story. Her journey started out a little slow, met Alex Haley, mentored, got her feet wet in the business. So, Kay, we got your back. Now, after your experience with that first production, what happened next? How did you get back into the Madam C.J. Walker project?
Well, the Madam C.J. Walker project was written when we did the Kissing Bandit, because that was my first low-budget film there. And after we finished that, they promised me distribution deals I never did receive.
Yes.
So like I say, it left me out in the cold again, but I'm still trying to do what I got to do.
I understand.
And by me not knowing anybody, that can be a good reason too.
Okay. Well, we got some folks on the line. We're going to bring them in, and we're going to bring them in first, and then we're going to go back because I have my piece on Madam C.J. Walker booted back up, and give a little bit more background, because this is an important story, not just for you as a film project, but for you as a business project, which we are going to continue in discussion. So let's bring in my other callers from 414. Welcome to the... or rather 404, welcome to the BCS Experience. And who might you be? Good evening. 404, you're on the line.
Hi, this is Dan Copeland, Atlanta, Georgia.
Dan, my good friend Dan Copeland from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Dan, you are in not just the film business yourself, but you are a professional lobbyist in the state of Georgia. So welcome, Dan. Welcome indeed.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.
And Dan, you are involved with this project in what way?
Let me share with you, Brian. I'm so honored. Kay, hi. Kay and I have been working on this project for 2 years now. I met Kay approximately 3 years ago when she walked here in the state capitol. I said, Kay, I'm going to find funding for this movie. She gave me a chance to look at this script. this is an unbelievable story on Madam C.J. Walker.
Yes,
we
sir.
want to film it here in Georgia. We're looking for investors in Georgia, in the state of Georgia or New York. We want to do this movie. We want to do it. When we want to do it, Kay, this year or next year?
This year.
That's what I thought.
And
That's what we want to do.
And so, Kay and Dan, we got to have a star. Now, who is your featured star? Who do you want in this production? I mean, let's put it in the universe now.
Kay, you want me after that?
Yes, you can.
I want Oprah Winfrey or Chanel Brown, who played in Different World, or Oprah Winfrey, someone like that. And Kay and I have talked about this several different times, but
Right.
we are excited. We need someone who could really play Madam C.J. Walker. And those two names here stand out. I'll let you go, Kay. Who you think outside those two names?
Well, of course, Oprah and Queen Latifah. Jill.
Oh my goodness.
Jill Scott. She would be a good one.
Jill Scott. Hey, listen. Well, one of them got to play Oprah, and the other one has to play the daughter, because the daughter absolutely was part of the Harlem Renaissance and was a highlight, hosting in her own home many of the Harlem Renaissance people. So I mean, this is not just any kind of story, Stephen. This story has a lot of moss on it, and not only was Madam C.J. Walker featured as one of the first African American millionaires in this country, her involvement in social stuff. Yeah. See, people know her as the hair care person, but she was involved with so much more, and that's what. And Kay, your story, does it highlight her life as a specific time frame, or are we looking at her life overall?
Well, overall.
Overall, that's great.
Yes.
Because she back in the early 1900s, with all of the lynchings that were going on in this country, Madam C.J. Walker financed some of the cases against lynching in this country. Paid for the lawyers. Wow. I mean, this is an amazing story that we have. It's a big deal. We got.
Yes, it is.
It really, truly is. Now we got one more caller on the line, 240. I think I know who this is. We lost a caller, I think was on the West Coast, but is this my friend Linda?
Yes, it is.
How
are you?
From Maryland, Washington, D.C. Welcome, Linda, to the BCS Experience.
Well, thank you.
Linda, how much of...
And good evening to the guests.
Well,
I'm
thank you.
a great fan of Madam C.J. Walker and also of Alex Haley. I did have the pleasure of meeting him once in life when he did the Roots book. I had the pleasure of meeting him in person, and also his brother George Haley.
Wow. See that featured
and
all
Madam
the way around.
C.J. is one of my favorite mentors of success. So.
All right. Well, that's it. That's quite interesting. Now, I got queued up, Kay, this information on Madam C.J. Walker from the museum. And I want to it's only about 3 minutes long, but I want to drop this in here and play this because it's really important to know a little bit more about this woman who became so famous. So we have that queued up. Let's see if we can bring that in again.
And what were her most significant contributions to Indiana and to America?
Well, Madam Walker was called the first self-made African-American millionaire woman. Okay, she started out in life. She was born 2 years after Civil War, and she was born in an area of the country that was cotton growing area of Louisiana, across the river, a piece from Vicksburg, Mississippi. And in those days, everybody in the family worked picking cotton, more or less. All right. Her mother died when she was 7. Her father died when she was 9. She had gone to live with an older sister who had started a family, and that was not easy, of course, another mouse, and she had to get out there and work. Her education was limited. It was started off being by an African-American minister in the area, head of church, and he was trying to get the kids started some kind of education since there was no formal school in the area at the time. So, but she had to work in the fields, and she At the age of 14, working along with others, she met a young man around her age, and they thought they could do well together, so they married. Formal, done by the minister. Um, and they moved across the river to Vicksburg, Mississippi. And when they got there, they were doing the same thing, working, going on an odd job and trying to make it. Yeah, she, at age 18, had a little girl. She named her Leah, Lelia. And when she was 20, her husband was killed, say, in a racial riot in the area. And here she was at the age of 20 with a little 2-year-old child and not much education. She had a couple of brothers that were in St. Louis at the time, had gone there, and they had a little one-chair barber shop. And they felt, they asked her, come on up here. You might find it easier to make it. You might find more work. And she saved her nickels and dimes and hit the bottom of the boat passage up the river to St. Louis, and had to live in the worst area, of course, in St. Louis river town as it was, and pretty rough down around the river there and whatnot. But that's where she had to make it, and sometimes she had trouble making rent even. But she was having a problem with her hair, and she had a kind of a tether type problem. And this was kind of rather common, for a lot of women had this, that weren't able to care for themselves the way they would like to. So she was always trying to find something to help her hair, because she was going to church. She was a church-going woman all of her life. And going to church and taking her little girl, and she wanted to look nice and whatnot. And we know about St. Louis woman. She was there in St. Louis. She was going to this big church there. And she wanted to look nice and whatnot. And so she was always experimenting.
Wow. Amazing, huh?
Yep,
Stuff you didn't know about. We only think of them when they get rich.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but the beginning of poverty.
Coming up.
Right, and much of what she earned was because she made it happen. Mm-hmm. She engaged in saving her pennies. You heard, now that was a docent at the museum in Indianapolis. His name is Thomas Ridley, and the African American Registry gives us that video presentation, and of course, all of the other history that they do every single day. But this is how we have to connect the dots, because what we have now is in Kay Eatmon doing her story.
Right.
Okay. Now, Kay, you heard that little brief piece about Madam C.J. Walker. That story.
I did.
Yeah, that story now resonates more and more when you come to think of it. Not just because you're a filmmaker yourself, but your relationship to the hair care industry goes even deeper than just a film project, because you're in a business which is engaged in creating hair care product.
Right. Yes, I am.
Oh my goodness! So I mean, this is a billion-dollar industry, folks. Okay, and so. Miss Hair Care herself, and Miss, because see, we know you as Kay Eatmon, the filmmaker, but you're Aura Kay Eatmon. That's what you were born with, and
right.
And now let's segue, because we're gonna take a break in about 3 minutes, but let's segue in from the film project to your relationship with your own family to the hair care industry. Tell us about that.
Okay, my grandmother, Ora Lee, they were from down south, but her mother, Freddie Davis, she was a slave back in the 1800s. So she made hair products for her kids. So the people that she worked for saw how beautiful their hair were. So they had her to make it for them, this people that she was slaving for.
Uh-huh.
And their hair began to grow. It was a lot of them with diseases, lights, people doing chemo, and this stuff what she did was all herbal, and it worked. So then she had to start making it for their friends and their relatives.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so what is the name of your business and the product itself?
Aura K Beauty Products.
Aura K Beauty Products. Now, see, the relationship, Stephen, think about this. We had Madam C.J. Walker, who was born in 1867. Okay?
Right.
20 years of her family, since the 1890s, Aura's family has been involved in the hair care business as well.
Right.
So when you think about the business itself, we know about Bronner Brothers, we know about Johnson Products, we know about Stay Soft Pro, we know about even Soft Sheen is a part of the Johnson product, and now we're looking at a family business who is also engaged in this industry as well. We got to take a break here. But when we come back, Aura, we're going to talk some more about your unique story. You're an amazing woman, okay? And so let's stay tuned, folks, because there's so much more information to learn about this filmmaker, this entrepreneur. You're listening to the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a great opportunity. If you have a product or service, a talent or something important to say, now's your chance to have your own radio show. Whether you're just starting out or a veteran looking for a professional platform to enhance your presentation, the GoPro Radio Network is the premier place to cultivate and share new and exciting content. We'll help you to grow your audience and keep it growing long after your first broadcast. Now you have a voice. Call 212-696-8562 today or visit www.goproradio.com and you'll be amazed at how easy and affordable it is to have your own radio show on the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio. Listen to the voices in your head.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're back on the BCS Experience, and I want to thank all my supporters and fans and loyal listeners for making me one of the top-rated shows on the GoPro Radio Network. And you know, Stephen, you know how they do that? They make a donation because we're listener-sponsored radio, and that means you out there in listening land in the GoPro Radio Network, you make a donation to us and support our effort for keeping us on the air. And when you make that donation, just go to GoProRadio.com, and there's a box there that says make a donation. And making a donation, when you finalize your amount that you're making, indicate that you'd like for it to go to the BCS Experience, and that helps to keep my show on the air. Thank you for showing me the love, because I'm continuing to show you the love. All right, Stephen, we're back.
Sir.
We're back. We even have another caller on the air from 404. Let's bring everybody back in. 404, a new caller. Who are you? Welcome to the BCS Experience.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great, and who might we be speaking to?
Hi, my name is Miss Hightower, and I have a question for Kay.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that this sounds like a very important project. I work as a teacher, and I know the importance of educating the students about folks like Madam C.J. Walker. And I wanted to talk with Kay. I wanted her to ask or answer the question, what kind of research went into creating this film?
Madam C.J. Walker, well, Alex, he already had a lot of research, and he gave me a project also to dig up projects. He began to show me how to start movies. So then I went to Indianapolis. I started searching, getting newspapers, and I did meet a couple people that knew Madam C.J. Walker. They were small at the time, and they told me stories. So I started interviewing people and doing a lot of background check.
That's interesting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Hightower, for calling in. We appreciate it. Is this your first time listening to the show?
actually, it is. I have heard about the show before, but I'm so glad that that I had a chance to call in today to listen and to see the film excerpts. It's all very intriguing.
It really is, and this is how we are going to get this movie made, okay? Because it doesn't take just the effort of talking to an Oprah or, you know, all the other moguls or, you know, Tyler. You know, they're out here, they're making movies, they're making films. And like Hosea Williams told me, Dan Copeland, you know about Hosea. He told me and his daughter Elizabeth Omalami, I don't know why y'all making stories and doing theater and movies about something that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He said, you just take one story from the civil rights movement, I guarantee you will have a hit on your hands. And this year, 12 Years a Slave really proved the point. It really opened up the door for more stories like Madam C.J. Walker. This story has to be told. Yep. Okay, and if it's not Oprah, it will be somebody. Now, we're putting it out there in the universe, Dan and Kay.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
We really want that. And, you know, Oprah's name just got dropped back in the bucket today about being a potential buyer for the L.A. Clippers. Ooh. Yeah, I heard that just before I came in today. That's right. Now, when you think
doable.
Isn't that doable?
That's doable.
But and I saw a joke. You showed me this. Now,
I know.
Now, Dan and Kay, here's what my good friend Steven showed me. He said, this one goes 12 years a Clipper.
Okay.
12 years a Clipper. Okay.
With the photos of
photos of the players
in the backdrop of
photoshopped into the characters from 12 Years a Slave.
Hilarious.
Okay. But when you think about it, as funny as that may be, the significance of that particular piece of humor, whoever did it, is not far from the truth.
Right.
Okay? Because here's a billionaire who owns this team, treating them like slaves.
Behaving like that character in the film.
Right. Paying them a good price to be on the team.
Yeah.
Okay? But treating them like slaves.
Exactly.
And we have to break up this kind of industry, which is why my topic for today is how to succeed in business and maintain your integrity without selling out for 30 pieces of silver. And Kay, your story, obviously, you've been holding on to this because you didn't want to sell it cheap. It's about the integrity of our business. Yeah. Now, Kay.
Yeah, this is a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. And I got another caller on 202. Welcome to the BCS Experience. Who might you be this evening?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. And who's calling?
Is this Byron Saunders?
This is he indeed. Thank you. Who's calling?
Byron, Alelia Bundles. How are you?
Oh, my goodness, Miss Alelia Bundles. I'm surprised. I mean, I haven't spoken to you in 20 years, at least.
Yeah, I know, since I lived in Atlanta.
Since you had lived in Atlanta. So I'm honored that you're on the air. And so, Alelia and Kay and Dan and Linda. All right, I got you all across the country here. Welcome. How are you, Alelia? And you are.
I'm good. You know, I just love to listen. I actually just tuned in, so I'd love to hear more about the conversation.
Well, we're talking about the industry itself. We're talking about Madam C.J. Walker, and your relationship to that person. Tell us how you know Madam C.J. Walker.
Yes, Madam Walker's my great-great-grandmother, and I'm her biographer and keeper of the trademark and intellectual property.
Well, welcome to the BCS Experience. This is your first time calling.
Yeah, but of course we see each other on Facebook.
And we do indeed, so that's always nice to keep in contact since we started our friendship back in Atlanta. Alelia,
when you were in theater, back then.
Just Us Theater Company, that's right. Now, the business, ladies and gentlemen, maintaining the integrity. I mean, this is a huge part of what's probably the hardest part in our entertainment industry is not selling out for 30 pieces of silver. How do we get this movie made, folks? What do we need to do? Let's get real about this, because this story has to be told, and it needs to be on the film. So, Anyone jump in? Dan, you raise money. What do we got to do?
Well, this project here is approximately about $6 million project. This film, probably $6 to $10 million. I think if we looked at $10 million, we got another quote from Tyler Perry, and they looked at it, added to additional 15. This is a historical type movie. We want to do it here in Atlanta, Georgia, in the South. We know Mrs. Walker was from Mississippi. We want to try, and Miss Walker also have a beauty shop right here downtown in the historical community where Dr. Martin Luther King lived, right on Auburn Avenue.
Wow.
So this is what we're going to do. We're looking at about $15 million. We're looking for someone to come in as an investor. We've got other partners here in Atlanta. We get what you call a tax credit. We have other partners like Pinewood, Tyler Perry Studio will come in and help us to do some of the filming or do something to help us some of the locations. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for investors. We're willing to split 50-50. Kay and I have been over this many times before. So it's a good opportunity for anyone who out there would like to invest. Feel free to give us a call.
All right, Alilia, we need the story. We need this story told. Help us.
So Byron, you know that I have written 4 books about Madam Walker, and I'm her biographer, and I have the rights to the film. I believe Ms. Eatmon met Alex Haley years ago when I was working with Alex, and she does not have the rights to the film.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really quite confused.
All right. Well, then we need to marry y'all.
The shop that's there is owned by a good friend of mine, Reese, who has a museum there. It was one of the shops that was owned by a Walker agent years and years ago, and he's been really great about restoring it. But, we have 2 National Historic Landmarks, the Madam Walker Theater Center in Indianapolis, where I was on Saturday for our annual Spirit Awards. We're doing, on Monday, the National Trust for Historic Preservation is announcing that Madam Walker's home in Irvington, New York will become a national treasure, and we're having a reception there on Monday and a visioning session at the Rockefeller Estate on Tuesday. So we have more than enough things with people who've long been associated. I think Mr. Copeland mentioned, he said Madam Walker was from Mississippi, and really she was born in Louisiana. Mr. Copeland didn't recognize my name, and, Madam Walker's daughter, Lilia Walker, is quite well known during the Harlem Renaissance. So I think, there are people who do know Madam Walker's story well. I am working with a major studio. I'm working with another group on a musical, so the story's being told.
Well, good. Now, just because one story is told doesn't mean there can't be several. I mean, we need.
That's right.
And so
let me say that because
I
think Kay has had this story for a long time, and we've been trying to get funding for the last 3 years. And ma'am, I am honored to be in to meet you by phone here tonight. And Kay, you want to respond to this at all?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay.
But we can tell different stories. And Kay have a story, you have a story. Kay have a right. Kay is licensed with have copyright license her story about Mrs. Walker. She did her research as well. Okay. So I hope we can film both of these stories. And I hope, ma'am, you consider to film your story here in Atlanta, Georgia as well.
Well,
I have lots of good friends in Atlanta. I lived there for 5 years.
That's right. That's where we met.
You come back and film it.
and Alilia, one of the things that I will say about Mr. Copeland is that as a certified lobbyist at the state capitol in Atlanta and working within the film industry there as well, it might behoove all of y'all to get together and put your collective not just resources, but sweat equity into making sure all these stories get told. One story will just benefit the next. And certainly, one of the things that I've learned as a result of the success of 12 Years a Slave is that wasn't the only story. Exactly. There are so many more stories that have to be told, and thank goodness Solomon's story did get told. Yeah. But when I do the uploading of history every day, and I'm sure Alilia, you have seen this on my Facebook page, the number of historic figures, heroes and sheroes, that really deserve to have their story told in pictures, in written word, even in animation if we got to get it that way. But it's about making sure our stories are getting out there. So, I mean, ultimately, you guys are the storytellers. I'm a conduit. I'm trying to bring everybody here to the fore to make this happen. And just to plug my own company, BW Moving Images, who is our producer here at GoPro Radio Network. What we do here is create and make independent films and documentaries. So, somewhere along the line, we need to we need to all meet at the altar and figure out a way how to get this done. Would you all not agree to that? Alelia?
I urge people to visit our Madam C.J. Walker website, madamcjwalker.com, and the various Madam Walker Facebook pages, as well as my personal website, aleliabundles.com, and you can see the things that we've been working on actually for 4 decades.
Yes. So, I mean, saluting you, Alelia, for holding on to the story and the dream and family. I mean, that's an incredible
also,
journey.
I've been talking to Mr. Doley in New York. He lives at Madam C.J. Walker House in New York.
That's where I'm going to be on Monday, at Mr. Doley's home. We're hosting a reception there.
I went to tour that. And also in Indianapolis.
I was there on Saturday.
Okay. Well, I
proceed.
Toured there too. Yeah.
Well, great.
See, the tour. I'm so glad you've seen the tours. I grew up in those places.
Well,
okay.
Have you all?
Her name is Vivian.
Vivian. Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't own it anymore. Over. Mm-hmm.
Well, listen.
Okay. Well, I have all the certificates and everything signed.
Good.
I do have all that.
And let me just ask, Kay and Alelia, have y'all ever met with each other before?
I have spoken with Kay in the past.
All right.
Yes.
Well, ladies, it's always a good time to continue your relationship in a positive manner. That's all that I think. That's that's the best way to look at it, and really hope that both of you get to the finish line, so that, because I want to see the picture. I personally, okay. I really want to. I want to see the picture. Okay. And so Dan, you know, maybe at some point, since you know how to hustle and shake that money tree, you know, we need to really take a look at where the finances are. I got to take a break, and when we come back, Alelia, I hope you stay on the line, because the topic for this evening is how to succeed in business without selling out. And that's a tough one. Is there a such thing as an honest business in the United States? That's something to consider.
In what century?
Well, in what century? Well, don't go away. We'll be right back on the BCS Experience.
GoPro Radio, the fastest growing network in the galaxy, is leaner and meaner with a new attitude, new technology, and a brand new lineup. Tune in and get wired every Wednesday, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern with the BCS Experience featuring Byron C. Saunders, formerly of New York City's WBAI. Then at 6 p.m., it's the Black Agenda TV Express featuring sought-out political commentator Glenn Ford, formerly of America's Black Forum. Then at 8 p.m., it's time for Kay Thompson Live with the legendary radio host Kay Thompson of Inner City Broadcasting's WLIB and her son, renowned actor Eric Payne, who starred in such films as Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, Drop Squad, and many more. Then, at 9 p.m., it's Food Rap, featuring Nina Markel, a.k.a. the unofficial mayor of Jersey City, and former Viacom marketing guru Shauna Glover. Last but not least, at 10 p.m. Eastern, it's The Sexy Party Show, with the bad boy of dating Mr. Locario of I Love New York fame and his partner in crime, Miles Cunningham. So get wired every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, only on the GoPro Radio Network, www.goproradio.com. Listen to the voices in your head.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're back on the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. We got a really interesting show this evening, Stephen. I mean, I've got on the line my good friends who I haven't spoken to in 20, 30 years, it seems like. I've got interesting enough, we have Kay Eatmon, who's in Ohio. Has written a piece on Madam C.J. Walker and has her own hair care products that she is now out on the market providing from her family, who has done this for over 150 years. We've got Dan Copeland on the line. He's a professional lobbyist in the state of Georgia and also helps to raise funds to finance films. I've got Lilia Bundles on the line, great-great-granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker, and another personal friend who I hadn't had a chance to speak to in seems like 20-some plus years, so I'm really excited about having her on the air for the first time. I've got another caller, 718, just came in. Welcome to the BCS Experience. I think I know who this is my good friend, Reverend Dr. D.L.C. Boyce. Is that who this is?
Yes, God bless you. How are you?
Well, grace and peace.
I'm excited about this program.
Dr. Boyce,
Sounds good.
Madam C.J. Walker, its impact in your life. Is there something you want to share about what you know about Madam C.J. Walker as well?
I was so excited as a young woman to hear about a woman who actually defied restrictions, color lines, discrimination, and really went, not only was it her business acumen, but it was also the fact that she set out a goal and she was able to achieve it. She was a great influence in my early life when I was an entrepreneur. I could look up to her and see the work that she does.
Wow.
And appreciate it.
Lilia, I know you've got a very, very busy schedule. The industry, our entertainment industry, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that's not good. I mean, there's some reality shows that just seem to, unfortunately, it looks like some of our folks, men and women, are getting paid to act like niggas. I hate to use the word, but that's exactly what it's, or buffoons. And I mean, it's 30, right? It's 30 pieces of silver.
Right.
You've been in the communication business for some time. What do we got to do to clean this up? I mean, this is a.
Well, I don't know that you can if people want to get paid, and they, the operative piece for many people is, I'm getting paid. I mean, I think sadly we saw this week with the head of the NAACP office in Los Angeles, who has been taking money from Donald Sterling and who has been doing this kind of thing, sort of trading off the name of the NAACP for a long time. So a lot of people really just operate by the dollar and, are not really particularly ethical in their behavior.
It's killing our civil rights movement. All the effort that has been put forward. I mean, here's this gentleman. He was accused of doing this in Detroit, I understand. So it's not something it's new. But ladies and gentlemen who's on the line, I mean, this is an open kind of question. What do we do? Can we clean it up? Something has to be done because it's a perversion of our culture and our ethics that's at stake here. Dr. Boyce, you are a clinical psychotherapist. Is there an answer?
Integrity. Remembering the just cause that opened windows and doors to allow opportunities to come, but we weren't to forget the origin. And I think many of us have taken the origin, the site that we had. We've taken that for granted, and we lost because we did sell out for $4.50. And, we became individuals as opposed to a collective. And once you leave the foundation of the collective, well, the wolves look for an opportunity. They will finance you until they're ready to cut you off at the knees.
Wow.
And so we have to regroup, get back to, of course, the biblical words, and recognize that the whole social justice movement that provided opportunities was not to be forgotten. We need to wear it as a shawl.
Right.
Dan, is there such thing as an honest business? You're in the industry. You know what goes on with hustling to make money to make a movie. Can we keep it honest?
I think we can. I think what Kay have done with Madam C.J. Walker's script, we had some opportunities that people come to us to want to purchase it, and Kay had refused to take anything. I mean, she had pushed and trying to do it, film it herself. She did this research. She worked hard. She believed in the story. I think like people like Kay, and I don't know the great granddaughter. I think she has done a great job as well.
Yes.
But I know that Kay have really had opportunity. We had an opportunity to sell this to someone, and Kay said, "Let's go the other way, Dan. Let's go the right way. Let's make this ourselves." And I think it takes people like Kay.
Well, Kay, you've got a side business now, not only just a film industry business, but you're providing hair care business. Can you keep it honest?
Yes.
Can you keep it honest? That's a major thing.
Yeah, I would like to see black people get along better, because when one black person starts something, another one tries to pull them down.
Right.
And it's money for everybody.
It's true.
It's time for this world to start getting together as one. And we black people need to stick together and quit being so greedy.
Well, we spend.
Jealous-hearted.
Yes, it is. It's crabs in the barrel. We spend 1.7 trillion dollars annually. The hair care industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, so there is room for everybody else in this business. And so my advice to all that are here today, we are all family here. Okay, get together.
Yes.
Resolve whatever rights issues that needs to be right to get this movie done. Get your story done, A'Lelia. I got to see this, folks. I'm trying to teach my kids. I want our kids to know the greatness of our ancestors. You are all standing on shoulders of heroes and sheroes. And so I got to bring this to a close. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of this evening, for calling in. A'Lelia, wow. 20-some years, almost 30 years I haven't seen you or even talked to you.
Long.
So I hope that this is just the beginning. I want to not just talk to you on Facebook, but have a chance to stay connected with you. Dr. Boyce, thank you for providing some insight here. And ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. My goodness, what a great show we've had today. Thank you, my producers, Tylon Xavier Washington, Ayana L. Jones, Executive Director, Shauna L. Glover, Online Engineer, Production Assistants, Mohammed El Safti, Nina Markal, Tatiana Washington, and Tayana Washington. A special thank you to the Jazz Lounge Project and Andrew Julian Myers for my shows, fabulous shows, theme music, and jazz. Hey, your support of BW Moving Images is so important. What you need to have in your catalog, in your library, is the decline of black radio, disappearing voices, the decline of black radio. It's on disc. It can be purchased right here. So you go to www.disappearingvoices.com. Hey, get it. We'll get it autographed for you. Just mention you heard it from the BCS Experience. Well, hey, this is my show, the BCS Experience. We come to you live every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Don't go away. Stay on the GoPro Radio Network, because coming up next is the Black Agenda TV Express, followed by the Earl Morgan Hour, followed by Kate Thompson Live, followed by Food Rap. And before you go home and turn over and kiss your best partner goodnight, you stay on the line and listen to the Sexy Party Show. Then you can do what you got to do to stay warm and comfortable. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm Byron C. Saunders. It's been all about the BCS Experience. Thanks, Steve, for joining with me, man. This has been a wonderful show. You listen. And guess what? I'll be back next week where my special guest will be you, my listening audience, with another opportunity to appreciate our rich cultural history and learn how it impacts on our lives today. Until then, I'm out of here for the moment. Peace and love. Always.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Whoa!
You squashed it, though.
I did. Did I squash
You
it?
did. You squashed it.
I heard the sound. Okay, and she said it on the air. Y'all ain't got the right. And I'm like, oh, snap! Thank
How you
you.
doing?
Good.
Yeah,
We
very
got
good.
it. We got this
You guys
stuff
are in a really
going
good
on
mood
today.
today. Yeah. Not the usual.